Friends, what makes you more alive? Let us keep in mind that just simply living and satisfying our body or our biological need may not be just living and fully being alive. It's important to ask this question from ourselves, especially today with the type of culture we have, which doesn't really believe in the human life, but to biological life of us. You see, human is not human by this body. We have something that no living thing has, and that's exactly what makes us human and gives us a new dimension of life different from other living things. It is based on our brain developed through the evolution with the part of it, new cortex, that can act as an antenna and connects us to consciousness of the universe. Now you can call it anything, God, or the wisdom of the world. But it is something beyond material life. Just I give you an example. What makes us compassionate, what makes us to be a hero, what makes us to love others and enjoy of, but sacrifice is not coming from the neurons of the brain, does it? Or from our body. It's nothing to do with material. So it is out of our body. It is out of this materialistic life and interest. It's coming from outside. It exists. Nobody can deny it. But what should be called or how it is, we shouldn't bother thinking about it. It's impossible that we don't have that capacity to learn it. Also, scientists more or less believe the same thing, that it's a hard problem. But we don't have to think about it. We are now concerned about how we reach to it. So ordinarily, by thinking deeper, we connect to this consciousness, and that makes us human. Simply, it sends us by those beams of consciousness that come to us intuition or insight or inspiration. And through that, we become more than just a biological being like other beings. We become compassionate. We understand other people's pain. We understand real love. We understand unity with others. We find that ourselves a part of a larger being. And we are greater when we understand that we belong to it. And more, we realize that what is trustworthiness, what is to be truthful, what is to be honest, what is to be credible. And these are not coming from the better eating or prosperity in life. And those are just what the culture today knows and nothing more than that. So unfortunately, if we don't pay attention and think deeper, we give in to this type of culture that denies humanity and part of us and part of our life that we have to ourselves worry about it and think about it. And that is what exactly makes us more alive. Because as long as we are not trying to connect to that consciousness and becoming real human, we still live only biologically and not human life. And the good news is that we are entitled to, we can reach to, and we can even change the life ourself, I mean, our human race on this planet, like a life in paradise, in heaven, whatever ideally we are thinking of. Because through that consciousness, which all of us receive indiscriminately, that source of consciousness sent to all individuals, all 8 billion people in this world. And then we can exchange this common blessing of consciousness with each others, and further becoming more conscious and more enlightened and more human and more safe life, calm, peace, and loving relation even, and sacrifice, heroism, and inner joy and self-actualization, they all come from here. These are all we're entitled to. That's a real life we should have it. Unfortunately, today's culture, like clouds that block the sunshine to reach us, is disturbing, is disconnecting, is trying to disrupt this connection between us and that source of consciousness. And it does really. Because this culture, let me first talk briefly on what is the nature of culture I am talking about. It's not like culture comes to our mind, a bunch of regulation or norms or habits or people's general practice. It is a living thing, this culture. It's made of organizations, organized systems of human, but it's not human because they are all looking for profit only and power. They're not malicious, but that's the mechanism of systems that work in a group with an agenda, with a goal, and they ignore that other part of the humanity. And then, because they are so powerful, because all of us are living under the control of these small or large companies or parties or other organizations, then actually they can make our mind. They manipulate us. It's not maliciously, but that's what it is. And nobody is immune of it, because everything we get as a feed for our mind come through these organizations. And obviously, they just send it to us in a way to get more profit. They even stimulate our temptation of the human, because we are human are vulnerable to our temptation, our immediate gratification, and not thinking and being lazy, not analyzing, not verifying something, rushing into satisfying our temptation. And they love that because this way they make more profit. They can better manipulate us. And unfortunately, that breaks the internal system of human for controlling self and disciplining himself, and then open the gates for crimes. And now we are witnessing it. It's very much concerning. We see that children get involved in crime, in murder, juvenile crime, school violence, drug, alcohol, and high-tech crimes, cyber attacks. They're all because this internal control is breaking down, because the culture actually doesn't recognize such a thing as human conscience and consciousness. All it needs or look for is the material things, money and profit. It only needs our body and our 5 senses, not our thinking. Actually, it discourages individuals of thinking. And the result we can see, as researchers show us, we only think really for ourselves, free of the influence of culture, 5% of the time, 5%, 95% of the time, we are under the impression or under the influence of this culture or under influence of our instincts and habits, but not thinking deeper. And that deeper thinking is the key to reach to consciousness, and we lose that one. So it's sad news, and that's the reality we have to keep in mind in order to remain ourselves and being more alive. After all, when we live together in the society, this loss of humanity, it becomes even more concerning and threatening. We can see people are just passively living as if following the herd. People do not trust each other. Every day we see that there's more locks on the doors, more monitoring, more alarm systems, but still it will not help because the internal system is broken and it's no control, no self-control. So all of these are as a result of this culture, this monster, this gigantic ego, which we all are involved in it, and it controls our mind. As I said, we can't get anything outside us without the influence of these systems, and we can't see the truth. And if we forget our own consciousness, our own conscience, our own essence, then we will be just an object in their hand, in the culture system. We will be part of this cycle of produce to consume. So good news is that, my friend, you haven't changed. Your essence as a human and your capacity to connect to that higher consciousness and learn, actually, to intuition and inspiration and insight, going beyond the surface and finding the truth and becoming greater and finding the life purposeful and having a goal to get greater human being, to grow spiritually, to become more creative, to reach others, to affect them and creating loving relations. They're all still deep inside you and inside everybody. Heroism even, to make a glorious life. But the only thing is we have to say no. We should not keep following that temptation that all you have to value is money. That is what we have to resist against that. It's easy to say, but maybe not that easy to act. However, it's the best thing to do. Stop and think deeper, not at the surface, and not what the media is telling us. This whole commercial messages and news and information that we get through this commercialized system. Actually, this commercialization is devaluing everything: arts, literature, music, poetry, theater. Everything is now produced for making money. So I would suggest something that I believe that we should do, and it's missing, a proposal. We have to have a voice of public conscience. We have the voice of this commercialized culture, too much of it. All day and night we're getting these type of messages that money is everything, that possession of everything is what we have to do. But I'm really reducing ourselves to our possessions, to what we possess. We need to have another pole to challenge this pole of commercialization and culture. The pole that is the voice of conscience of you and me and everybody. That the human is the one that should be valued. Human is the one that should be protected. Humanity that should be protected. That voice of consciousness, that connection to the consciousness of the world, that brings us those noble human characters, those should be raised, that voice should be raised, and use the same tool that this commercialized world have, that bombarding us with messages that everything is money. There should be that everything is humanity. And these are the real values. Without killing the voice of the other party, because there should be a balance. We also need to be prosperous in our lifetime, of course. We need to be serving ourselves to be alive. And then paying attention to our spiritual growth of our humanities, and then becoming close to each other, and hearts and souls so much close to each other through this network of consciousness that we all get. Contrary to what we do now, that yes, we are close to each other, but isolated by heart and mind and soul. So far between, because competition and aggression and brutality, justice for the ego that is promoted by this culture, is not letting that happen. Thank you for your attention.